everybody. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I am so glad to be back in my sewing room. I know I've had a bit of a hiatus here on YouTube, and one of my goals for 2023 is to do more videos on here, more long-term videos. I don't know about you, but I didn't make any resolutions, but I have made a lot of sewing plans for this upcoming year. For both personally, for myself, and for my business. So my first one though, my first plan is I am going to be participating in Jacket January with a group of sewers that I know. And so we're all picking different kinds of either like, a coat, a blazer, bomber jacket, like a flannel shirt, what they call it, a shacket. I have decided on this pattern right here. It's an older pattern. I've made one last year. I did this short version. There we go. For my cousin's middle daughter, Abriana. And it turned out really, really great. And I loved it so much. I really didn't think that I was ever going to be making a coat for myself, so I went ahead and cut it the size small. But then I decided I really like this for myself. So that is what I'm going to be making for Jacket January. I have ordered my lining. It has not come in yet, but let me show you the fabric I got. This is so beautiful. I hope it comes across well on the screen. There we go. This is an Italian cashmere wool. It has beautiful, beautiful drape, and it has just a tiny bit of stretch to it. Let me pull it up a little bit. There we go. It's great. So it's got just a little, not stretch, but got a little ease to it, which I absolutely love. And the lining I ordered is kind of, it's red, but it's not like a true bright red. So not that you'll see it, it'll only be on the inside. But that is my first plan or sewing plan for 2023. And so what I'll be doing is, over the course of me making it, I will be filming the process, and I will upload it so you can see the whole process from beginning to end. So I think the first thing I'm going to get started on, since I'm waiting for my lining, is I'm going to go ahead and cut out the pattern pieces for this. I will be making the largest size on here, which is extra large, so that's fine. So if anyone comes to me and goes, can you make me one, as long as they're under a size extra large, I can just trace it off and make them a coat too. So, but anyway, I hope you will follow me on this journey, because this, like I said, is my first project for 2023 on my list of things I want to do, and I have many, many more to come. So let's get started on cutting out pattern pieces. So here we go. We're going to be sewing the Kwik Sew 3732. Let's get the pattern pieces that we need. We're going to be making view A. No collar, has just a rounded neck. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons down the front, and then front patch pockets. So if you want to see the line drawings on the back, you can probably still find this online, because I just ordered this again recently. So if you are looking to do a simple coat, this would be a great one. All right, so there's our layout. And for view A, this one, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we need everything but the 2 collar pieces. So we're going to need pattern pieces 1 through 8. I do like, the original one, because I actually had bought this before, like I said, for my niece, or my cousin's little girl, and it was the brown tissue paper, with the standard black. This I kind of like, with it's printed on white with the blue. Makes it a little easier to see. So this is piece number 4 closest to us. We are cutting out the extra large. Don't worry, I will not make you watch me cut out all of it. If you've made this pattern before, be sure to leave a message down in the comments. Let me know if you made it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Were there any changes that you made? Were there anything that you did to, you know, personalize it? I always love sharing ideas. Okay. First piece cut out. And welcome to day 2 of me working on my jacket for Jacket January. So now that I have all the pattern pieces cut out, and I let them lay overnight so they are much flatter, the first thing I did today was I measured the pattern pieces to my body, because I'm very short and inevitably things have to be shortened. So we're going to make sure that we get that shortened first, and we're going to lay out the fabric today and get everything, all the pieces cut out of the main fabric. I still don't have my lining fabric yet, but I did get a notification that it has been shipped. So hopefully we'll be able to film that part very, very soon. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've actually already folded this one up. So I'm doing the size extra large, and once measuring everything to my body, it needs to shorten about that amount right there. So for now, I'm just going to put, I know, don't freak out, I'm putting little pins in just to hold it in place until I can get it laid out on the fabric. So I've done this one. Get that in. I have already also done the facing part, so I'm just going to put one pin in that just to hold it in place. And now we have one more. So this is the lower front piece, this is the facing piece, and this is the lower back piece. So these have shortening lines in the middle. So all we have to do is from the extra large line, very gently just crease along that dotted line. And fold it up. Make sure the lines and everything, make sure everything lines up, and then just give it a little crease. So as you can see, I've measured them to make sure, well, I just held them up side by side to make sure that both front piece and the back piece are the same length. So if you look at this diagram here, because I am making the extra large, so it gives you an idea of how you need to lay out your fabric depending on the width of the fabric that you have purchased. The fabric that I purchased is 45 inches wide, and actually I never told you where I got this from. This beautiful navy wool cashmere is from a company called Paper City Fabrics. And if you've never heard of them, I'll link them in the bio below. They are a fabric thrift store. So sometimes you can get incredible pieces of fabric like this for only $4 a yard. It's just amazing. So let's get started laying out our fabric pieces. So everything has now been cut out. The next thing I need to do is get my tailor's chalk and mark like where the pockets are going to be. They actually have them set on an angle, which I didn't notice in the picture, I guess because of the floral. I'm not sure how I feel about it on an angle. I may like kind of mark it, tack it in place, see if I like it. If not, I might just put them on so that they're straight up and down. The next thing that I also need to do is for the front and back facing and the pockets is cut out fusible interfacing that goes on the wrong side of the fabric to help give it some stability. And the pockets will be lined on the inside with the same red as the rest of the coat, which is cool. So those are the next steps that I'm going to be doing. I may not do those on camera. I may just finish that off and show it to you tomorrow. Fingers crossed that my lining fabric comes in. But anyway, that is as far as we are getting on day 2. So not bad. So on to day 3 of working on my coat. Good news, my lining fabric came in, and it's just a basic lining fabric. It's nothing especially fancy, but I really do like the color. I don't know if you can tell, but it's more of like a paprika kind of red. I didn't want like a bright candy apple red, and this is actually really what I was hoping for. Now, the one thing I have not talked about is this coat actually doesn't call for lining. I'm going to be creating a lining. I don't think I want to line the arms. I don't think that's going to be as necessary as just the front and the back. The fabric that I chose, it's soft, it's wonderful, but depending on what I would wear underneath it, I know it would like kind of get caught, and you know, so I want to make sure that I have at least the front and the back lined. I may change my mind and line the arms. I haven't decided yet, but that is what I will be working on actually tomorrow, because today what I want to be doing is I've decided that I want to serge around all of my coat pieces, just so that it has, you know, just a nicer finish, never have to worry about any kind of fraying or anything like that. So I'll do a little bit, I want to do that today, and then tomorrow I will be cutting out the interfacing and hopefully getting the front and the back portions of the coat assembled, so that then I can cut out the lining. I can make sure it's going to fit just right. And then we'll move on from there. So, all right, give me just a minute and we'll get to serging. And it's day 4 of me working on my jacket for Jacket January. So today I'm just pinning all the pieces together, the front pieces and the back pieces specifically, and getting them sewn together, so that, like I said, I'm going to lay those pieces out onto the lining, and then I'm just going to mark directly with tailor's chalk, mark directly onto the fabric to make the lining for the jacket. So let's get started pinning together. I had the 2 front pieces with the right sides together, so we're just going to pin the top piece, the portion of the top part of the coat, to the bottom portion, because essentially this is made up of 2 panels in the front and 3 panels for the back. So let's just go ahead and get these pinned together. Don't feel like I need a lot of pins for this. Okay, that one. And then let's get the other one together. And there we go. And one more. Okay, the first pieces, 2 front pieces are now pinned together. Let's move on to the back. The toughest part of working with this fabric is that it's really difficult to tell the front from the back. So I did mark the back pieces. I don't know if you can see, there's a very faint little chalk mark right there to let me know that it is the wrong side of the fabric, because there's really not much of a difference from the right side and the wrong side of the fabric with this. And here's one of the back pieces together, and let's get the other one. And make sure it's all lined up just right. Perfect. All right, back pieces are pinned together. Okay, so we got our navy blue thread on, adjusted tension. I was sure to add in a denim needle, and we're going to be sewing at 5/8 of an inch, because once you sew this together, you open up and top stitch it. So let's get started. Go ahead and remove my needles, or my pins, not my needles. Okay. There we go. First front piece together. Okay, so we have both back pieces, top and bottom sewn together, and front and back pieces, top and bottom sewn together. So now I'm going to flip it over like this and press this seam open. Now you can either finger press it and pin it like I'm going to do, or you can take it over to your iron and press it open. So you're going to do this for each of the pieces, because once you do that, you're going to stitch all the way down the side of that seam, and that will give a very nice detail on your coat. So we're just going to finish getting these pressed open. Almost there. Probably a lot of pins. You don't have to use as many as I did if you don't want. Or like I said, you could always press it. My iron needs to be, well, I don't know where it is actually off the top of my head. But there we go. So you can see the pins showing through. So you'll have, on this side, it'll just be 2 straight lines going down. And it adds just a very nice detail, because the coat, like I said, is paneled. You see, you will see that there's from the top and the bottom. It's not just all one piece. So I'm going to get the other pieces all together and then back to the sewing machine. So I have the needle lined up about 3/8 of an inch. So basically I'm lining it up with the edge of my foot. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to take my time, make sure my stitches stay nice and straight. I'll check back with you when I have them all done. Okay, so all the 2 back pieces, tops and bottoms, have been joined together, 2 front pieces, and I just want you to see how nice that looks when you do the stitch on either side of that seam. It does give a little visual interest. I love the way it looks. So now we have to do the same thing. This is the back piece. This is the other half of the back piece. So we need to line everything up. Let me get these out of the way. Here we go. And let's get this one laid out. And we're going to do the same thing all the way down the back. We're going to join the middle seam. We're going to sew it at 5/8 of an inch. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here. We do that stitch on either side of the main seam down the back. Once we finish that, then we'll be ready to trace onto our lining material. Because like I said, this coat didn't call for lining, so I'm just going to be tracing these pieces directly onto the lining and creating one for it. So let's get pinning. So I'm going to start, of course, by matching this up, this seam. We'll start pinning from there so we can make sure that it lines up perfectly. And one more pin, and now we're ready. And the back piece has been assembled. We've got that nice seam going all the way down the back with the stitching on either side. And so now, next part is to lay out my lining and trace out my pieces. So we will get through, we'll get started on that tomorrow. So today I'm going to be focusing on making the lining for the coat. I'm actually going to use the pieces of the front and the back that I've already assembled and use those and just mark directly onto the lining fabric. I'm going to use those as my pattern. And then I've decided I am going to go ahead and line the sleeves, so I'm also going to do the same thing there. So let me show you how I've got it laid out. So you can see I've got the back piece on right now, and I went ahead and pinned it in place because this is very slippery and I didn't want it shifting all over my table. I actually had to use the little jar over there is just my jar of crystals, and it's heavy enough to keep this thing from sliding off the table. So I've got my tailor's chalk, and all I'm going to do, I'm not going to leave a seam allowance because I'm actually going to serge my lining together. So I'm not going to need 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to do that all the way around. Oops. Because I think this will be easier than trying to tape pattern pieces together. So let me get to it. And the lining is all put together. Now I only did a serge around all of the edges because with the way I want to install it, I'm not going to need to hem anywhere except maybe the bottom. I also went ahead and sewed the shoulder seams and the side seams of the outer portion of the coat, and I went ahead and had the sleeves ready. So now we'll just pin the sleeves in and get it sewn up, and then I'll be ready to marry the lining and the outer coat together. So as you can see, my coat is done. There is a chunk of footage missing, and that is because that segment, for some reason, when I went to transfer it to my computer, the file became corrupted and it was unusable. But I did want you to see that I did finish it. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Adding the lining was it was a pretty simple task. I just took the outer coat, put it on my mannequin inside out, then slid the lining in place, just kind of hand tacked it, basted it in by hand so that everything held tight because that lining fabric was really slippery. Then I pinned on the inner facing of the coat. And I was able at that point just to stitch it all together. I did end up shortening the coat because once I got it done, I tried it on again and I'm really short and I just kind of felt like I was swimming. It was just too long. So I did end up shortening it after all of that, but really happy with it now. Thank you so much if you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching my Jacket January journal. I will be doing some more videos and promise that with my next video that I'll be sure to shoot it in landscape and not portrait. So anyway, thank you, and I hope you have a great day.